Hello everyone, it is the Prophet Michael David, aka Aries, and today's video is going to be all about maths. Alright, quick prologue, then we'll get to it. In my last video, which was named Prophecy, I talked about all the ways God chooses her prophets and the different levels and everything. But this video is not going to be about that. It's going to be about all the ways she empowers her prophets in my way, mathematically. It's not just that she empowers them to do things that other humans cannot do, miracles, supernatural abilities. Even more striking is she empowers them to do things that they should not be able to do given their background. In my case, I have a barely bachelor's from Iowa State University in materials engineering. So that being said, I should not be able to do the math stuff, all the math stuffs that I'm about to show you, which is like a accumulation of all the stuff that I've had on this channel. And it's not in chronological order, but it includes all of it. So here we go. Enjoy. Okay, number one, promises. I promised to show you guys the actual sign that I paid for to put up my equation for the approximation of pi. The white lie is equivalent to, but it's only to make people think. Up note, I got beer there today, and I actually saw somebody in a truck writing the equation down in his truck, so that made me smile a little bit. But anyway, there's the proof that the sign actually exists. And again, that's the original concept that I showed you guys in a previous video. This is just like she wants me to say. It's just proof that I went from the actual concept, and then I did the actual thing I told you I was going to do, and then I didn't change anything. It stayed static. So then you might be saying, well, how do you know your equation is right? And well, I double checked it and triple checked it before I paid good money to get it put up. And here's a screenshot of it. If you look at that, please notice the numbers that are about I guess a third of the way from the top. The big positive number that is like starts with 432, that is 48 digits long, and the number right below it that's negative, that is also starts with 482 and is 48 digits long. That's trillion, 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 trillion. And that when you add them, the positive and the negative number, you get exactly one. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I did my math right. All right, so that's Michael's equation, one of the only things I've ever named after myself. But that's the precursor to the actual sign, the simplified version that I've shown on this channel before. And using some of the same techniques that I use to construct Michael's equation, I constructed that equation for the perimeter of an ellipse that is tied for the best algebraic perimeter for ellipse you're ever going to get, and it doesn't utilize pi, just the golden ratio. So then I showed you my proof of the twin prime conjecture, which is this. And all you have to do to get that is take the normal times tables and apply this equation to it, and anything that is not a whole number you set to 0. In other words, all the numbers on the times tables that are not 1 mod 6 will be irrational and will be set to 0. So basically that equation is just setting everything on the times table to 1 mod 6. And as you can see, the 1 mod 6 and the 5 mod 6 numbers pop out of those naturally, and then you can use that as a proof of concept to prove all the twin prime numbers, because they all have independent link spacing. It's a two-dimensional quantity. It's not a transcendental, it's a normal infinity. All right, and then I started to show you guys some of my spreadsheets to actually model, estimate the primes up to, a certain amount. And I called them growth and decay. The growth was the exponential one, and the decay was the one that approached zero or one at infinity. And especially with the decay, I kind of showed the erratic behavior of the primes and how it danced over the lines, kind of like a song. And then later, I told you that I had been working on that, and I'd created two lines that I thought were pretty good, and I wanted to show them compared to the primes, compared to also some upper bounds and lower bounds from an equation that I found on Wiki that I could not find. I did look for it, but so I created those, and this is what the growth and decay graphs look like. So then, a few weeks or maybe a month ago, I showed you all my Kaultz conjecture solution in my algorithm, and here it is. All right, I could rail about this all day, and I probably will make a Kaultz video where I do that, but let me just say, and I've said it before, or no, this is the first time I'm saying it this way. Like, if you can find any college game that violates that algorithm, then you can call me a false prophet. I would be a false prophet, because that thing is bulletproof. Every college game ever will adhere to that algorithm, guaranteed. So then finally, and I think it was in my last video, I promised you guys that I was still working on my Tribe of Joseph versus Tribe of Judah 2 video, which I still am, but I was also working on isolating the variable in my prime predicting algebraic equation, which I have been doing. And since it's been so cold, I've done a lot of work on it, and I did a pretty good job. Here it is. Okay, number one, full disclosure, bounds. This is only over from prime two, or the prime number two, the first prime, into the prime just under 5 million, which is the first 341,993 primes. So basically a third of a million primes. And number two, and I could like wheel on this one as well for hours, but let me just say this is a very small variable in the total prime equation, and it gets smaller and smaller compared to the other one each time. So um, it probably doesn't hold forever, but since it's getting smaller and smaller, it'll probably hold for a while. So, and for the first uh, third of a million primes, it's going to be the nuts, which is why I labeled the screenshot the nuts. All right, so here's a little bonus portion for people that have made it this far in the video about what I'm working on now, or what I'm, thinking about now. And it occurred to me just the other day that out of all the analyzing that I've done on primes and everything, there was this very old idea I had way back in the day, um, about how the X numbers, the 1 mod 6 numbers, interacted with the composites of the prime numbers. So basically, the numbers 5 times 7 is 35. So 35 would be the composite of those two prime numbers. And I developed the system, but I never went all the way through it. And I realized while I was doing it that it will zero out an infinite amount of times. But I didn't really equivalent that to the Riemann hypothesis. Or I did, but just I never put it down on spreadsheet to see when and how it did that and if they could be related. So that's what I'm going to do next. All right, a pretty good prophecy video followed by a pretty good maths video, or at least I'm pretty happy about it. So maybe my best set ever. So signing off, as always, rule number one, do not touch each other without another person's consent, aka do not hurt each other. And rule number two, it's all about honesty. Lies are ticked down, aka try not to lie.